Now it's time to see what is Packer. So Packer is an open source for creating identical machine images. I stress upon this identical machine images. What does it mean? What does identical machine image means? So what happens if you want to run a server? I'm not just talking about an OS, an operating system. For example, if you want to deploy an HTTPD service and then you want to run an application in that, so it consists of 3 to 4 layers of activities. So now for to do that, inspired of just creating one virtual machine, and then you want to do it in Google Cloud Provider, GCP, AWS, Azure, and all the services that are available. So what you will do normally, if it in manual process, you go directly to that AWS console and then open the instance, and then you install the first you select the AMI Amazon Mission image, and then after that you will, once you logged into the system, you install the HTTPD, then you deploy the application, and then you run the service and you access the application. That's what the procedure. So whatever activity you have done, you put it in a template, you put it in a file. We call it as a configuration file. um, Either it could be in JSON format or it could be in HCL format, which is specific to HashiCorp configuration language. So either of this you write it, so you make that file, we call it as image. Once that is ready, you can apply this image to any provider. Either it could be GCP, or it could be Amazon, or it could be Azure, or it could be IBM. You can just apply it. So it acts like a template. The whole activities you used to do it manually, and you have to even for the manual procedure also, you have to change the way of doing, change the procedure with respect to the cloud provider. But here, no limitation. With one template, just change the name of the cloud provider inside the template, and then you just apply that changes to your configuration file. All set, all done. So that's what creating identical machine images mean. So uh, Packer is an open source tool, as we have said, for creating identical machine images for multiple platforms from a single source configuration. That's what I'm saying. From a single source configuration, the file is one. The file is one, but you can create identical machine images. So Packer is lightweight, runs on every major operating system, and is highly performant, creating machine images for multiple platforms in parallel. So Packer does not replace configuration management like Chef or Puppet or Ansible. So the most important point is, people think that it's gonna replace. No, it's gonna complement. It's not gonna replace, it's gonna complement the configuration tools such as Chef or Puppet or Ansible. It needs the support of those configuration tools to do that configuration automation. That's what happens. We will do it. We'll do that, and I'll show you in our practical exercises of Packer. So in fact, when building images, Packer is able to use tools like Chef or Puppet to install software onto the image. If you take the simplest example, simplest again, you just want to run you just want to deploy a static web application in a server. This is what your problem statement. How do you do it in manually? So you log into any cloud provider, AWS, and then you create EC2 instance, and then you log into the EC2 instance, then you install HTTPD service in that, then you start and enable the HTTPD service in that, and then finally you deploy your application into the var www.html. In that you will put your index.html file, then your deployment is done. Of course, it requires 3 to 4 layers of manual activity. So what will we do is, we'll put all these manual activities into a Packer file. into Packer configuration file. Installation will be done. Then so now to provision a machine, one will do, and then after the provisioning you have to install the services. To install and start and enable, so these activities are called configuration. In software language we call them as a configuring the server. So this configuration will be done through example installation of HTTPD, and then starting the HTTPD service, and then running enabling the HTTPD service. These are all called configurations. To do this, normally we to automate these tasks we use Ansible. We have done it in our previous module, in our previous part of the third part of fourth module, that is Ansible. You just go there. We have done almost 2 to 3 exercises using Ansible. We have deployed 3 to 4 applications in that. You just go to that and watch it. It's configuration. So here also, to do that configuration you require the support of the configuration tools. Without that it's impossible. So that's how we bring the configuration tool. So this Packer will complement with the configuration tool, and then it will complete the overall process. So that we can create one image, one template, where it provisions the server, and then it configures the server, and then it deploys the server. Everything will be done with the only one template. That's the power of Packer. That's the power of Packer with the and configuration tool and then provision tool. So a machine image is a single static unit that contains a pre-configured operating system and installed software, which is used to quickly create new running machines. So machine image formats change for each platform. Some examples like include AMIs for EC2. For EC2 instances we call it as AMI. For VMware, virtual machineware, we call it as VMDK or VMX files, and for VirtualBox we call it as OVF. And Packer has solution for all types. So now let's look into advantages of Packer.